Young people in the opposition were furious with the results of the election. They attacked a church where women and children had taken refuge and set it on fire. At least 37 people were killed in the flames. Today, the former church is nothing more than a cemetery. The prosecutor from the International Criminal Court spent time there during her 5-day visit to Kenya. Not far away, in front of a crowd gathered outside, she tried to convince everyone that the investigation by the ICC is impartial.
I can tell you that the ICC's process is fair, will continue to be fair, we will continue to be independent, and that we are not targeting anyone.
The post-election violence resulted in more than 1,000 deaths. More than 600,000 people were internally displaced. 4 Kenyans are considered to be instigators, and the ICC is looking for them. 2 of them are candidates for the presidential elections of March 2013.
That is why the responsibility still remains with the government of Kenya to try to address the crimes committed by others who are not the ICC indictees.
On Thursday, during a press conference in Nairobi, Fatou Bensouda mentioned that witnesses were being pressured. The ICC has collected testimony from government workers and police officers. Some say they are not allowed to talk and are refusing to cooperate.
The unconditional aid truce observed by the Syrian government and rebels has yielded an alarming 140 deaths. There has been reports of extensive shelling by the Syrian army in and around the city of Homs and Idlib. Meanwhile, rebel fighters in Haram have been advancing on government-held areas, and reports say a number of government troops have been captured. We have details in this report.
A 4-day conditional ceasefire in Syria has failed. The Syrian army is shelling different parts of the country, including here in Haram, close to the border with Turkey. Both the rebels and the army said they would observe the truce only if the other side held their fire. Rebel fighters in Haram have captured a number of Syrian army soldiers.
No one will hurt you. You can give your identity papers to the judge. If you're listed as a criminal, you will be sent to court. If you're innocent, you will be returned safely to your families.
More than 150 people were killed Saturday, according to a human rights watchdog. There is fighting in Damascus, Aleppo, Homs, Idlib and other cities. In Damascus, there were a number of car bomb attacks. According to the Syrian army, they are fighting terrorist groups. Both sides are using force to win the conflict. In the meantime, civilians continue to be hostages of war. We've been surrounded for 2 months. We've had no food, no supplies or power. Wounded Syrians continue to flee across the border to neighboring Turkey, where there are already at least 100,000 Syrian refugees.
Silvio Berlusconi calls his punishment an unacceptable political sentence. Italy's former prime minister is expected to appeal Friday's 4-year prison term for tax evasion. But will he actually serve time? CNN senior international correspondent Ben Wedeman reports now from Rome.
The writing on the wall says the law is equal for all, but as the judge in a Milan courthouse reads out the sentence in the tax fraud trial of former Italian Prime Minister and media magnate Silvio Berlusconi, it was clear the law won't come down too hard on this most flamboyant of men. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. With the appeals process, Italy's short statute of limitations, Berlusconi's advanced age, 76, and other legal loopholes, most analysts here believe jail time is highly unlikely. In a phone interview with Italian television, Berlusconi insisted the charges were politically motivated.
Incredibile e anche intollerabile. Non si può andare avanti così. È la prova provata, direi la conferma di un vero e proprio accanimento giudiziario e dell'uso della giustizia a fini di lotta politica.
He's made similar allegations in the past, having been the subject of dozens of legal cases, but he always managed to avoid conviction.
There is also
If the court wants the conviction to stick, it needs to hurry, says legal analyst Maurizia Bellacosa.
Now we can say that there is a rush against time in order to have the decision of the Court of Appeal of Milan before the elapsing of the state auto limitation term.
Separately, Berlusconi is also on trial accused of paying for sex with an, at the time, underage Moroccan exotic dancer at his now infamous Bunga Bunga parties. He vehemently denies having sex with that woman, whose nom de travail is Ruby Rubacuore, Ruby the heart stealer. The former prime minister may avoid jail time, but his political career could be ending. This week, Berlusconi announced he will not run for prime minister in the upcoming parliamentary elections, and Friday's verdict barred him from holding public office for the next 3 years. It is probably way too early, however, to write Silvio Berlusconi's political epitaph. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, Rome.
Well, we now take a second break. We'll be right back. Well, over now to sports. The world heavyweight champions, Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko, are two of the toughest in the ring. The two are not only boxers. Vitaly is the older of the two. He has got a PhD and he is known as Dr. Iron Fist, but one day he might be better known as Mr. President. Here is CNN's Phil Black.
The new face of Ukrainian politics is a much-loved national hero. Vitaly Klitschko has been travelling to Ukraine's towns and cities, promising to fight for the country's future, and he's dramatically changed its political landscape. Meeting Klitschko one-on-one is intimidating. He's very tall, very wide, and he can do this. He does it so well, he's the reigning World Boxing Council heavyweight champion. 45 wins from 47 professional fights, 41 by knockout. He likes to say Ukrainian politics is tougher than pro-boxing.
I told you, it's fight no rules.
Klitschko's policies are broad brushstrokes, which he hopes will reverse the country's direction.
We have a dream to build new modern country and live much better.
Improve democracy, fight corruption, grow the economy, and join the European Union.
We love our country and we want to live here and with normal European life standards because we are European.
Klitschko's party is called UDAR. It's short for Ukrainian Democratic Alliance for Reform. It's also the Ukrainian word for punch. UDAR and other opposition parties hope to team up and win a majority in Ukraine's parliamentary election. Their goal is to challenge President Viktor Yanukovych and his ruling Party of Regions. Western countries say Yanukovych has rolled back democracy. They accuse him of wrongfully prosecuting his political opponents, like former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko, who can't take part in this election because she's serving a 7-year prison term for allegedly abusing power. Klitschko and the other opposition parties want to free Tymoshenko with a new...
Well, from sports, a reminder of our top stories before we go. Destination Gambia has won the award for the leading and best international stand at the recently ended Akwaba Travel Market event in Lagos. 20 middle-ranking immigration officers have completed a week-long advanced training in leadership and strategic planning and management. ICC's chief prosecutor, Fatou Bensouda, has visited Eldoret, one of the new major flashpoints of Kenya's 2007 deadly post-election violence. And Italy's former flamboyant Prime Minister, Silvio Berlusconi, has described his 4-year jail sentence by an Italian court an unacceptable political sentence. Well, that seems to be all in this edition of the news. Thanks for your time and enjoy our programs.